They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got 3 big old dicks that you can suck.
Well, here we are. What's up, WellRedders? It's time for another partially staffed edition of the WellRED Podcast. Tell you what, nobody wants to work anymore, Drew. It's a shame. We're like a Wendy's around, a modern day Wendy's around these parts. You know, can't get a full staff in here at any given point in time. No, I'm kidding. Corey's not with us for your listening only. It's just me and Drew this week. I think there's been one show with all three of us in what feels like 2 months to me, because I've missed some, you've missed some, and he's missed some. So, but
I was going to say no, but
I think that's pretty close, because it was me. I missed like a couple, not back to back, but in like 3 weeks or something a while back. And then you had a stretch where you missed some, and then Corey's thrown some in here or there. So, but either way, we shall persevere. Here we are on this sunny September day. Everything's nice. Bright and sunny, and the birds are singing around the country. Not like not overly tense or apocalyptic feeling and mood or tenor at all in America these days.
People are upset.
Yeah.
I did not realize how enmeshed in that world he was.
That's what Mark kept saying too. Mark was like, I didn't realize how big of a deal he was. And I think that it's probably, obviously he was a big deal, like objectively, but I'm saying that I'm sure there's a number of people that are
acting a little bit.
No, I'm saying what happened
changes things.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like, just the sheer fact that I'm sure there are plenty of people who don't really keep up with it that much or whatever, like it being politics, who probably didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was and didn't know who most political figures were. But now I'd say nearly all of them do because of what happened. So it's like that, I don't know.
Yeah. I had to talk to my mom about it for like weirdly for personal reasons, like to flesh out a personal situation. My mother needed to know something about who Charlie Kirk was. And in explaining it to her, it occurred to me that this dude being or claiming to be, however you want to frame it, a Christian, really, I think, endeared him to a lot of people who aren't super political. All they knew about him was that he was a conservative Christian who liked guns and liked Trump. And I think in that way, they feel like they were shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, this dude stood for what I stood for. And now the radical left is trying to attack me, which is something that I've been warned about.
Exactly.
For 35 goddamn years.
Yep.
And it's interesting. It feels irresponsible not to do what we're doing right now, to just like have a podcast with our background and what we do and not comment in some capacity. But DJ and I ran wild on Gravy Baby. If you want to hear what the noidoids and the tinfoils got going on, we said this during it. It feels irresponsible to do that too, but it's hard not to. Even if you're not going to speculate, it's hard not to be like, one could speculate based upon some of these wild facts, some of which are circumstantial and some of which have to do with like the way it was pulled off. It's a very, we've said on here before, I'm so tired of living through history. But goddamn, man, I really am. And I got a joke off that went kind of viral, and I've been in the trenches of it. It's ugly out there.
I know. I'm not going to lie. I said this on like Skews too, because obviously me and Mark have been talking about it also. But I'm like freaked out. I mean, I made the reason I was a little late today, and this episode will be a little bit short, is because I was like about to record a video, and in that too, it's like, I don't know, trying to be diplomatic, trying to walk on eggshells, because it's like the tenor of this feels different to me than I've never been one to. I feel like to shy away from, poking fun at the bear or whatever. But like, I just, I'm probably on any number of lists as it is, and I just don't really want to be added to more if I can help it, or have my like passport revoked or fucking God knows what. It's just like truly potentially wild right now in the way that definitely does actually freak me out. So basically, the thing I kind of what you were saying a minute ago about the speculating, I mostly focused on the guy being the shooter or whatever, and just that before anything at all was known about him, that immediate assumption, they were just like, we will catch the black trans Antifa gang member socialist, who did this or whatnot. And then of course, and I say of course just because it's a public shooter, of course it's a young white dude who apparently spent a lot of time on the internet, whatever else the facts are, like that much. And so, and then the fallout from that, and then like just making fun of some of the assumptions that were made or the rationalizations they're trying to do, while also trying to be like, because it's still not all like determined yet. So I also don't want to like put my foot in my mouth too much and be like, you idiots thought he was this, but he's this. Cause it's like, I feel like a lot of these guys who will do things like this, it's probably not super clean cut either way, probably.
Well, I mean, Luigi was a conservative gun owning, like classic, America should be a certain way, right-wing guy who on one particular issue was like, we've let corporate greed run amok, and almost like it almost felt like with Luigi, almost the way like a Christian would really like not kill, but like tear into a televangelist. With Luigi, it kind of felt like, and as someone like that, it's my responsibility to take the fucking trash out. So to your point, it wasn't very cut and dry, because that was a very, I guess, left view manifesto or paragraph Luigi Mangione wrote, but from the perspective of someone who was both right-wing in the way that they grew up, and then by American terms, right-wing in terms of like how we're going to deal with this problem. There's definitely a way I could cast this guy in the same light right now based upon what I just learned from Mark, but I'm still, even that.
Well,
I mean, again, if you want to hear me really speculate, guys, of course, this was 3 days ago. You can go listen to my episode with DJ on Gravy Baby. But like, dude, I have been driven insane by reality.
Sure.
I just don't think he did this by himself, man. It just don't make no sense. They're showing this kid jump off a roof with no gun in his hand. So they're saying he put half of it in his bag and stuffed the other one down his pants, but then they found it in the woods completely assembled. So he reassembled it and then hid it in the wood. We got no pictures of him. I'm just like, I don't know, bro.
Well, so first of all, about Mark, like we did a bonus episode, a Patreon episode, excuse, on Friday, and then we recorded today's episode. We recorded it yesterday. And in that intervening time, like on Friday, Mark was very much on, he's still like, he covered his bases or whatever. He wasn't just outright calling it like this, but he was saying like, it looks like this guy is what they call a groiper, right? Which I knew what groipers were.
I thought that for a long time,
whatever. And he was like, he seemed to be very much in the camp of like, it's pointing in this direction. But then even by yesterday and like by now, that also has been muddied at best. Like that's also not clean cut. So it's like, again, who even knows? So that's like in the video I made, I was just like, we just don't know. What if he's just like some internet edgelord who just did it for the lulz or whatever? And imagine the implications of sending that kind of message to those guys that like, because the whole, and I didn't get into all this because that's like I got to fucking fit it all in less than 3 minutes. We talked about it on Skews too, but like a lot of the narrative about like school shooters and shit for years, and a proven thing for some of them was that like, it was about like, it was so gross, but like high score and body count and notoriety and infamy and like winning and headlines and all that. So like the guys who would consider doing that type of thing, like sending the message to them, like the implicit message to them that like you want to really fucking burn shit down and make headlines and catch it and fuck shit up and catch everybody's eyes. Like do something like this, you might literally start an actual civil war. Like if those dudes get it in their head that this is something that works that way, it's like that's a real fucking dangerous precedent. And he might not be that. He might be one, he might be the other, might just, again,
Pardon me for disagreeing, but if the school shooter types stop shooting kids and start shooting rich, powerful people, even if they're on the left, I would darkly consider that a slight, I won't say step in the right direction, but maybe a look, maybe a nod in the right direction. And I don't want anyone to take that as me saying, well, that's good. I'm just saying that if what you're suggesting is that those types of crazy people see this and they go, oh, I'll get way more notoriety from shooting someone like that than I will kids. I'm not going to say I'm okay with that, because I'm not okay with any of this, but I'm not upset about it.
Well, what the full context of it is, considering the way that this country so far has reacted to this, and the implications that if this became like a trend and happened more and more, whatever, where that could ultimately lead.
Yeah, but think about what you're saying. Like, you're saying, it makes me nervous though, because we might end up in a civil war over a podcaster dying, not over all the kids that died at Sandy Hook. What I'm about to say is very dark, but like, I don't think we're leading there. We're there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that might be true. Yeah. Obviously I don't,
we're an insane, crazy, sick place.
Right.
Are you familiar with the sociological phrase, or maybe it's anthropology, hypernormalization?
I mean, I know that I've heard it, and I'm sure I could get there probably.
There's a documentary of the same title by Adam Curtis, which is what made the phrase super popular, like in pop culture. But it originated from, I think, a sociologist, maybe a psychologist, who was studying to become a doctor and eventually did, kind of at the fall of the USSR. And he was basically trying to figure out psychologically how you go from just like having a normal place to live, and then 3 months later there's bread lines.
Oh, right.
And no one, and everyone's like, they're not okay with it, but they're like,
yeah, it's like the frog in the boiling water thing.
But it only took 3 months.
Right.
There. And I think that part of that is you don't know, right? Like if you've been hypernormalized, a big part of that would be not realizing how weird this all is. This country is so weird.
Mm-hmm.
There were 2 school shootings the same day.
Mm-hmm.
We've been hypernormalized to violence to the point, I mean, even the joke that I did make, which was not at the expense of, it was at the expense of the dude being a dickhead. I said in there that I have nothing but empathy for his family. And that's how I turned the joke. But even then I was looking at it and I'm like, I guess I don't think I'd make that joke 5 years ago. Like, I do think that my brain even thought something funny because of how normalized. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
For me, getting to a funny place, I have to find it funny. I'm not one of those who can, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have to write about what I already found funny and then make the audience understand why I think it's funny. We've been hypernormalized to this stuff. I mean, to the point where we're all expecting it. We're all expecting some sort of like weird retaliation. I think that's why people have complained about us all playing hot potato. Oh, he's right wing because his family's MAGA and he owns guns. Oh, he's left wing because he has a trans girlfriend. I don't know about anyone else. I think for me and the people that I know on the left, most people are playing hot potato with him because they know retaliation's coming if they can figure out how to pin this on the left.
No, I know that.
Not about like feeling better about.
No. That's one of the things I said in the video that I just taped right before we got on here. Was I said like, I was like, I'm not saying the dude's far right either necessarily. We just don't know yet. I was like, both sides seem so desperate right now for him to be part of the opposition. Now, to me, it feels like the right wants him to be left so that they can feel justified in green lighting pickup truck pogroms. And the left wants him to be right so that hopefully there are no pickup truck pogroms, Yeah. So I don't really think that's exactly the same thing, but still, we don't know about this dude, And then I went into the whole, like, what if he's just a fucking 4chan fuckhead, basically.
It's like, I don't want to say both. I'm not like being a centrist about this. It's America, right? Like that's what made this kid. And I do think the American right and Fox News bears a lot of responsibility for that. I don't want to shy away from that. I think that's true, and that's how I feel. But this is America. This is before Trump. These are symptoms of the same cause, kind of thing. I'll say for me personally too. I'll add this, and again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's like you don't want to be irresponsible. I share that feeling of like, man, I hope he's right wing because it'll be harder for them, I think, to like justify what I feel like's coming.
At the very least, I don't want it to end up being like pretty transparently some left wing motivated shit, like because of that reason. It's like I said, it's not a scoreboard thing.
Right. Yeah. I have no qualms about feeling that way. I'm not shying away from that. But this next part, I say with like, I don't like the feeling of that. There's a helplessness in that as a grown-up, I feel very averse to. Which is not to say that I'm like about to wear those t-shirts and put my gun on my hip and tell them to fuck around and find out. But I hate this notion of like, is that what is separating us from fascism right now? Whether or not this kid did it for this reason or that reason? And if so, then fascism's here, and I need to prepare for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like it's wild that like I hope that this kid was a groyper, and that was a stronger motivation than his, I think, trans girlfriend. We seem to be learning.
Yeah, but that was nothing too. It's like at first people on Reddit, other leftists stuff were acting like that was, that's bullshit. That's being falsely reported or whatever. But as I understand it, no, that's at least somewhat seemingly true, at least partially. There is a real roommate who I guess really is transitioning or something. And, as far as the extent of their relationship or any of that, who the hell knows, but it's at least partially a real thing. But even that, it's like it's just the fact that they found a trans person adjacent to this story, that just sucks on its own, because they just immediately wanted it to make it about that, especially after that other shooting a couple weeks ago, one of the only ones that they cared about, because it happened to be a trans person or ex-trans person or whatever. And they're like less than 0.1% of all actual mass or public shootings, and but still, that they jump straight to that conclusion and end up finding one who has nothing to do with it. Not even, but still, just that it's there at all, that element is present. It's like, it's just a real fucking shame. But another thing I pointed out in the video about that was like, even that, look, maybe it is, maybe you love that trans roommate dearly, and that's totally, or at least a huge part of why he did it. Again, we don't know, but like, even just having like a secret trans girlfriend or whatever studies show all the time that like, trans porn is way more popular, and
Republican
it's RNC Grindr, gets what's the word for it? DDoSed or whatever. It gets overloaded. And then but yeah, and trans porn's more popular in red states and all that stuff, the way with all the repression and shit like that. I mean, even that doesn't necessarily mean anything. But
going back to, now that we're kind of deeper into it, going back to that point you were making, where I like jumped off about Luigi, having this sort of right wing mentality about how to take care of shit, but then have this one left wing view about corporations and healthcare. This is total speculation, but it would be extra American if this was a kid raised by gun owners, MAGA people who walked around talking about fuck around and find out, and that like seeped into him. But then he was given something to fight for by meeting this person and having empathy for them and seeing what they experienced. That would just be, no part of me would get joy out of that. I don't want to come across like that, but that would just be very American at this moment. It would be like, okay, so we can't blame it. I mean, I know who would get blamed, but we still, we truthfully couldn't like point too many fingers. I don't know. It's,
just because I feel like some people might think it was like they kind of brushed past that whole thing, even though I know you said, hey, I went into it deeply on Gravy Baby. But to circle back a little bit, you said, I don't think he did this alone. Are you going full bore like conspiracy theory, meaning like what? Like he's a patsy or it's an op or something like that? Because I have some immediate questions. Like,
you mean like in terms of what I'm willing to like say, or like?
Well, I don't know. Just do you mean it's like a group of guys?
I'm not afraid to say anything. I don't want to come across like real dramatic. It's just more of like, being irresponsible. I have an inability to believe that he did this alone, considering this wild number of coincidences, including the gun thing that I just referenced, including that person who just started screaming in the middle of it, shoot me, shoot me. They put their pants fell down. The old papaw that got arrested. There's just a lot of like things like that just make it impossible for me to believe that they're all coincidences, but I'm completely unable to do anything with that. Another thing I'll say, this terrible FBI apparatus we've got going on, they're working triple overtime to make this not a right wing.
I know. I was going to bring that up too. That's what I was going to ask. That was one of my logical questions, because I didn't know if you were implying it was some kind of like false flag Reichstag government conspiracy thing or whatever. And I was going to say, don't you think if that's what they were doing it, if that's why they were doing it, don't you think they would have manufactured the motivation to be way more cut and dry or whatever?
You got to get a patsy though.
Right. Yes.
And you're also assuming competence, because if they did that in this case, it probably wouldn't be the CIA. It would be the FBI, which is currently completely a wreck. But it is very like, now we're just like, it's fun. It's really fun to do this. It really is. It's addictive. But I'm just having a hard time with all these coincidences. If you want to say, all right, well, what are you doing with that? I got a few. None of them are fun. If you said the Reichstag thing, I think it'd be more likely, Jesus Christ, now we're a very different podcast. But to me, it'd be way more likely that it's like some of the surveillance tech bro shit than like just Trump fascism. Now, those coalesce. I don't want to be misunderstood here, but if it's a false flag, it was motivated by money. I mean, Planeteer already has the government contract, but to do what? Well, maybe start making a lot of lists.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Gathering a lot of fucking data.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it would like a sort of like Patriot Act type of thing that would presumably happen, that Palantir would benefit greatly from the passage of,
or whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They tried very hard to make that a whole thing.
Right.
And it was clearly what they were wanting to use as justification for taking over DC. Even people on the right were like, yeah, we don't care. But they still took over DC. Again, I say it's irresponsible, but it's irresponsible not to bring some of this shit up, because we're pretty far down the rung with the taking over of cities, with the Planeteer contract, with Donald Trump saying wildly insane things as soon as this shooter happened, with Donald Trump joking about people wanting a dictator. This doesn't even have to be an op for you to put in your head right now they're going to use it to justify something crazy.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, that part, again, I think that's what not everyone who's anywhere on the left, and probably a bunch of just general normies too, I would think. That part is what everybody's so scared of, because that seems like just a foregone conclusion.
Right. And speaking of normies, I was talking to my niece. She messaged me because of the joke I did and was like, this is the only one I've laughed at. I haven't found any of this funny. I find it all scary. And she was like, honestly, I feel like all my opinions sound insane. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, none of this makes sense. I feel like, and then it was just like this long list of conspiracy theories. And then she was like, please understand this is not the person that I am. And it's like, yeah, we're all gotten so used to being lied to, and everything that does or doesn't happen being turned. We're in a post-truth world. and spin is everything. So we're nuts. We're a bad culture, and we're victims of that. We all are. That's a truth. So even if it's crazy for me to say, also, Trey, we have to consider how Charlie was really taking a turn on Israel lately.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come up.
And it's like, if I'm crazy for thinking that, this is a very Joe Rogan thing for me to say, and I acknowledge that. But if I'm crazy for thinking that, then we, at the very least, give me, this place made me crazy.
Right. Without a doubt, it's crazy. You know what's even crazier, Drew, is wasting food. I'm a big, I've always had a whole thing about wasting food my whole life. And even though I feel that way, I used to have a real bad tendency to do so accidentally, but still. That was before HelloFresh came into my life. I'll explain what I mean. Y'all have heard me talk about HelloFresh. If you've been around for a while, you know that I'm a straight up devotee. I've no bullshit whatsoever. I've been a HelloFresh subscriber for like an actual decade, very, very near it. And only, on and off, they've been a sponsor, not the whole time. And I stuck with them in spite of that because I'm a big fan. So I used to go and I'd buy all my groceries at once. I'd try to plan it out, but I'm bad at stuff. So I'd end up throwing food away at the end of the week. And I hated myself for that, but it just kept happening. And then HelloFresh solved that immediately because they send you exactly what you need, exactly how much of it you need. And they give you the instructions for how to turn it into a meal that super, super hits. Fall is here, or just about. It's still pretty hot, but fall's coming. And with fall comes cooler nights, heartier meals, and the craving for something warm and satisfying. And that's why we're talking about HelloFresh, because they'll bring you comforting chef-designed recipes and fresh seasonal ingredients right to your door. And this season, they've taken things to the next level with their biggest menu refresh yet. You can say hello to a whole new way to do dinner. They've doubled their menu. You can choose from over 100 options this week, each week. I can promise you there's something for everybody in there. They got healthy options. They got, if you want to throw down on some cheese type stuff instead, they got that too. They got vegetarian meals. They got all kinds of stuff. They got steak, seafood, tasty, real gourmet stuff. You know what I mean? And like I said, I'm a big fan. One of the other things I'll tell you that I've always really liked about HelloFresh is because I'm a hobbyist cook. I'm of the culinary persuasion. I like to dabble. But I'm also an ignorant redneck hick who don't know stuff about things. So like HelloFresh has introduced me to cuisines and culinary options I never would have ran into before. Like, for example, y'all know what halloumi grilling cheese? I didn't know there was cheese you could grill. I didn't know halloumi was a word. Turns out it is, and it's delicious. And I only found out about it because of HelloFresh. Israeli couscous. That just happens to be the name of it. It's a little we'll call it pearl couscous, one of my absolute favorite grains or whatever the hell that is. Never would have found it without HelloFresh. It's really opened up my culinary existence. I can't stress enough. I'm a big, big fan. The best way to cook just got better. Go to HelloFresh.com/WellRED10FM now to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. One per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/WellRED10FM. WellRED10FM to get 10 free meals and a free item for life. HelloFresh. Make it hit. Drew.
Fellas, what's going on? How is the love life going? Are you living up to your own potential? Are you satisfying your lady? Listen, if you are not doing a good enough job listening, if you're still in the blanket, if you're snoring, Hims.com, they can't help you with that. But when it comes to performance, they've got you covered. You can take control of ED today with personalized treatments made with proven ingredients, prescribed by licensed providers, and the best part, in my opinion, 100% online. ED, erectile dysfunction, we all know what it stands for in this case. It can make you feel out of control. Hims lets you take control back with personalized treatment options, including daily meds that support more spontaneous moments. Through Hims, you can access personalized prescription treatments like hard mints, SexRx plus Climax Control if prescribed. They offer treatment options ranging from those hard mints to trusted generics that cost 95% less than brand names if prescribed. You don't need to go out of your way to feel like yourself. Again, I think this is the best part. Hims brings expert care straight to you with 100% online access to personalized treatments that put your goals first. It's not a one-size-fits-all that forgets you're in the waiting room. It's your health. These are your goals. Real medical providers will make sure you get what you need to get results. So you can think of Hims as a digital front door that gets you back to your old self with a simple 100% online process to get you access to trusted treatments for ED and more, all in one place. I went and tried it. I had to go check it out. What they do is they set you up with like a questionnaire. Not only figures out what it is that you're having trouble with or what you want to improve upon, but also your background, what's been going on in your life. How do you want this to go down? Do you want a mint? Do you need help with climax control? Or are you just trying to look to get some generic versions of the things we've all heard of so you can be back to your old self? So to get that, get simple online access to personalized, affordable care for ED. Also, they got hair loss, weight loss, and more. Like I said, it's very personalized with your background. You can visit hims.com/wellread. That's hims.com/wellread for a free online visit. hims.com/wellread. I want to let you guys know that the actual price will depend on the product and subscription plan you choose. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription is required. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
All right. And we're back. Yeah, I don't know. Look, all these podcast sponsors are going to be, sailing some choppy waters this week, I would imagine, across all, brands and spectrums. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like,
yeah,
you started laughing when I started that, and I totally understand why, but it was like, I was already thinking about it for minutes in the lead up to that. And I was like, well, fuck it. Where else is it going to go? Like what else are we going to talk about? The whole episode's going to be like this. What else you're supposed to talk about almost. So like, it just is what it is.
It's just so wild. I imagine, as you said, for everybody, I'm sure there are people. I mean, a buddy of mine described an Alex Jones ad read that he was listening to, kind of like for entertainment. Like he went to Alex Jones and be like, God damn, if everything's wild, let's hear how wild Alex is, kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was saying he spun into a sponsor right in the middle of like calling everyone gay and how the trans demons are after Greta Thunberg. We all know that she's a demon spawn from hell, sponsored by Soros. But we can't kill her because then she become a martyr. And that's exactly what the left wants. And you know what else I've been thinking about lately? And it was just like literally something called blue goo.
Blue goo. Yeah. Is that some sort of like dick something?
I don't think it's a dick
virility or brain.
Yeah,
it makes both your brain and your dick hit somehow.
Yeah, both your heads.
Yeah, both your heads.
Spin the blue
double
right
head
your head
action.
So yeah, I do think it's like, honestly, to me, not that I can get way too esoteric with it. That is highlighting exactly what I'm talking about how insane and bad of a culture we are. That our spaces to have these conversations, and I'm genuinely very proud to provide one for the people who have been fans of ours and follow us for a long time. But like the way our system works, we have to break for these sponsors. That's just, like, there's no other way to do this sustainably.
Right.
And so it's just like, it feels dystopian to be like, anyway, I've been telling you guys to buy guns since I did Tennessee is a Drag. Very proud of that. Came out a year and a half ago. We are falling faster into fascism. You should be prepared for that, at least mentally, if not literally, and also dick pills.
Mm-hmm.
It's dystopian. Israeli couscous. Yeah, I wonder what they used to call that 60 years ago.
Yeah, you're right. Presumably it has been around for quite some time since although to be fair, with the way like food strains and plants and stuff work, it may be that because
well, that's a good point.
I don't know if you know the differences in couscous, but like the main type of couscous that people think of when they think of couscous, I'm actually not a huge fan of. Okay. But what HelloFresh at least calls Israeli couscous, like I said, they're little pearls. So like pearl-shaped couscous. I love that shit.
And
so what I'm saying is it's possible that they were like,
pearl makes it more likely for them to kill a kid, like it'll choke on
it. I don't know. Well, they're very small pearls. So yeah, this whole episode's hitting less and less for HelloFresh. It's so funny I chose to bring that up. It genuinely is one of my favorite things.
I think they probably would have stopped listening as soon as the ad was over had you not been like, well, we had to do that. And then I thought of that and I did it anyway.
Yeah. But
I think that should be the ad or the what's the word I'm looking for? Trailer for this episode. The clip.
Yep. But with all the conspiracy theory stuff, any version of it, I mean, like you said, you threw a couple out there and it's like, I definitely can see the logic in all of them. And I know you already said, you're like, well, you're assuming competence, and that's weird because generally with most conspiracy theories, my like generic across the board take, if you're talking about governmental conspiracy theories and stuff, has always been like, I think that the, quote unquote, real conspiracy, and a lot of other people say this too, Mark included, is that the government is actually, far too stupid and incompetent to really pull most of that shit off. Like,
okay, but inside of that, we have, this frustrates me when I talk to Mark about it too, because he'll reference a
CIA,
conspiracy that failed.
Yeah, right.
And he'll be like, see what I mean? And I'm like, so they're doing them.
Right.
We know they're doing them.
Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know all of them. And what I mean is like a lot of the biggest ones are like, the other thing is, what do they say? What's the cliche about like, oh, 3 people can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead? And I'm sure there's a lot of other such cliches, but the idea that like so many of them, like the moon landing and those ones that were like just fun and mostly harmless, I thought like, years ago, and some of them still are, I guess, harmless, but they were like, it just the number of people that would have to be like involved and keep that secret is just not something I believe is possible.
I had a bit about that. I used to say that if they kept the moon landing being fake secret that long, that's more impressive than going to the moon.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I'm more proud of my country for doing that than I am going
the way people are with like tell-all book deals and shit the moment their foot is out the door and that type of thing, like just that alone.
It could also be though that if they started going down that route, they get shot. It could also be that like no one believed them.
Yeah.
It could be in any number of things. Look, I don't think that the FBI or the CIA had anything to do with it. I think it would be a outside government or a private. But that all sounds nuts to me. The only reason I'm in this space is it was
the weird shit.
The weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll be honest, like Thursday night when they still hadn't caught him yet, me and Donnie were about to do a show in Buffalo, and I was in the green room talking about how, like, up until they caught him, I was like, I didn't have any elaborate, as far as the why of it all or the inner workings or anything. But I was like, dude, this really does seem like, because I saw the videos of the hand signal guys and the dude in the crowd fucking looking back to the, like whatever, all that stuff. And then to people talking about the shot and all this shit. And the fact that he was gone, like at that point in time, they had nothing. And I was like, I think this was some kind of hit, like an actual hit, man. I was like, I didn't know that people like the Jackal like actually existed, but this seems like something like that actually happened, because this just isn't ever what happened. Like they haven't caught him. They all this other weird shit. I was like, somebody hired an actual like globe-trotting elite assassin to kill Charlie Kirk. That's what I thought happened Thursday night. But as soon as, and I know the concept of patsies and all that exists, but as soon as they caught the guy and, or really even just that, the fact that they like caught him and, there wasn't, it didn't seem to be, obviously we still don't know his motivations and all that stuff, but it was like, they had the camera footage or whatever, and then they caught this dude. And apparently, like, his dad turned him in or convinced himself to turn him in, and his family is, like, giving interviews and shit. His grandma's talking about how they're MAGA and all this stuff. Then I started thinking, like, okay, well, I don't know. I guess it's the butler guy, except this guy didn't miss, but, and obviously that's overly simplistic. But even, like, that butler guy, Mark brought this up too, the Butler, Pennsylvania guy that missed Trump's ear or whatever. And I know there's plenty of conspiracy theories about that too. But like that guy, the story on that guy is like, oh yeah, he was traditionally right wing and all this stuff. But in his phone, that's what Mark told me. In his phone, they found, in his search history, he had typed in, is Donald Trump or Joe Biden speaking anywhere near me in like the next And so I'm saying,
I didn't know that.
There's
it's so darkly funny to me, and this is kind of what we're saying about how bad and crazy things are. What you're saying is there's some young people out there who are like, look, I'm fucking killing somebody.
Right? Yeah, and I'm saying I'm not like putting money on this guy being that. I'm saying it's at least a somewhat plausible possibility here is that it's another version of that type of thing, because those dudes are out there all over the fucking 4chan boards and shit.
If I didn't know basements of this country about the details, I guess is how I'll say it, I would be 100% with that at this point. If I didn't know anything about what am I trying to say? Technical details of the day. If I just knew the background stuff, I'd be 100% with that. As it stands, I'm 40% with that, at least 45, maybe it'll be 60 by tomorrow. Maybe by the end of this podcast, I'll be like, yeah, you're right. But there's just a few things I can't let go of that are just so very odd. Why was that dude screaming, shoot me?
Yeah,
he seemed in on it to me. He is a big part of the reason that whoever did it got away, probably.
Right. Now, is the guy that's screaming, shoot me, it's the same old guy with his pants down?
I think so, but I know there was 2 people making a ruckus, and I don't know anything about the other one.
Yeah.
I should also say to everyone out there, I have not done a great amount of research, and that's not because I'm like, let me fly by the seat of my pants and then throw these theories out there. It's just like, I'll get too wound up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? When I say I haven't done a lot of research, I mean I haven't cross-verified. I'm not talking out of my ass. I've seen the video of the dude jumping off the roof. I did come up with my own counter to my own argument about the gun. Maybe he reassembled the gun in the woods out of self-defense, like, well, they're going to come in here and I'm going to shoot some of them. And then they never came and he abandoned it. But it's weird. And then also the bullet case and things. I mean, and that kind of goes to your point. Like those memes that this dude's referencing are like hyper online,
crazy,
sort of from the nihilistic.
Yeah.
One of them, though, is some people say very associated with the 09A. Are you familiar with the 09A?
No, not even Mark has brought this up to me yet. I don't think.
Well, the only reason to bring him up is just because it's scandalous, which is just very unhealthy. I'm acknowledging that. But again, we live in insane times. The 09A are a far-right Nazi pagan loose international organization.
Oh wait, no, yes, aren't they the ones that it did some shit in California? They were like behind some. Yeah, I'm sorry.
And supposedly, the Minnesota guy who killed the Democratic senators was like at the very least influenced by some of their stuff.
Mark would be so furious if he heard that, just because, of course, Mark, he's been all over the 09A. I guess is that short for some? Is there a longer name?
The Order of the Nine Angels.
Okay, see, I think he mostly has just called them that, so I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. But yes, no, Mark's all over those fucking.
And I don't think many people are saying like, this is a group of people who are going around killing people. Most people are saying this is an insane. It's like the new 4chan kind of like, this is a place where people are getting some real crazy ideas, and if they're already susceptible to that, what's your great line? You can't tell someone that crazy something that retarded, expect them not to do something insane.
Right.
I think there's definitely a lot of reasonable people going, man, because the shooter in Colorado Springs, which we've only mentioned once, happened the same day, also had been apparently their search history or something about them. It seemed like they had come across or been reading stuff from the 09A.
Yeah, I know. Right. That's again, not at first, but when, the first chunk of purported details about the guy came out, Reddit and also Mark were very much like 100% Groyper. This guy's Groyper, whatever.
Yeah, me too, for the record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, I believed it. I bought it. Again, it's like I said, it's just.
By the way, I'm still not completely cold on that. I understand some of the connections were way more tangential than we thought.
Right.
But I'm still not completely convinced, because the Groypers are wildly racist, but some of them are very progressive about like trans stuff. Yeah, it's like as long as you're white, you're good to go with a lot of those folks. They're not like Jesus don't like this. In fact, that's a big problem with them and Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, I knew
he's
that
too soft on people, and they think his religion is what has made him such.
Right. Yeah, I knew that they had a problem, and also, I mean, even Fuentes himself, their like leader, or whatever, he in those hours when all that was happening, he like publicly said, it was like, we are my followers, whatever, are getting blamed for this, or going to get blamed for this, and I just want to disavow all whatever. So I mean, the point being, like, even he saw the shit that had been reported up to that point and was like, yeah, that does seem like probably one of my guys.
He's also wildly talented. That's something that I want people to understand too. Kirk, the people were calling him very charismatic, and I got some issues with that word in this context. But Kirk had a bigger following, but that's because he had way more normal views.
Yeah, right.
He had like pretty run-of-the-mill racism, homophobia, et cetera, et cetera. Nick Fuentes is insane.
Right.
But he's so charming and good at being insane that he has this big following. And take what you want to from that. I'm just saying, like, someone really charming and has very, very insane views. I don't know, man. There's this thing going on inside me right now. I think it's like, honestly, it kind of comes from like being a dad and like growing up a lot in the last 2 years. But like, I think it's both widely irresponsible to do what I'm doing right now because it's fun and it's like unhealthy. It's like, let's speculate. But I also think it would be irresponsible to not acknowledge that none of this is normal. Whatever the truth is insane. Whatever version of this is real, or if it's something we haven't quite pinned down yet, it's crazy. We are sick. And I don't say that like in a Nancy Grace way and like, now let's go out and foment. I just sound like a dad, I guess, but like, it's fucking sad, man.
Yeah, it is. And it's also sucks that and we've known this for a long time, but there's no like real like integrity or intellectual honesty or self-awareness or any of that type of thing on big chunks of the right, as far as like, they have no qualms whatsoever about like free speech being possibly eradicated right now for people on the left who disagree with them.
They're pissing all over Charlie Kirk's grave.
Right. Yes, exactly. They are, like, by the letter of the words and everything, they're like just going against so many of the things that they,
I don't like Charlie Kirk, and I think he's a bit of a grifter in a lot of ways, like the whole debate bro thing. But he's been pretty principled. I mean, in fact, if you want to roll into my schmizreal theory, he's been pretty principled on that. Wow. Anyway, my point is they're pissing on his grave.
Right. Yeah.
Clay Higgins has been like, I think I said his name right. He's like, we're making a list of everyone who made a joke.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. And I mean, I'm definitely on it. It's about time as a comedian I've made a list.
But yeah, that's what, and it's also like, an American president, you would think that a person with that job would at least be on the side of like, I think that Americans should not, be at each other's throats in the streets and be this divided or whatever. But this president that we have is just like, he literally said, I don't care at all about, unity or any of that. Basically, they deserve it. They caused this and they deserve it. It's like,
yeah, it's really scary. I think get a gun and get your passport in order is not that inflammatory of a thing to be saying to people you care about. I also think, and I've said this with DJ, like, we could ride through real dark fascism, Trump trying to get a third term, and plenty of people in this country's lives could barely change outside of whatever they're looking at their phone, because we're just a huge country. And like, even if you become a dictatorship, somebody's got to buy the Coca-Cola.
Yep.
But I don't imagine myself going out like that.
Oh, yeah.
That 2-year-old makes me think maybe I will.
Speaking of going out like that. Where are you going soon, Drew? Where are you going out in the world?
Nice. First of all, let me say to the people who came out to New Orleans, appreciate y'all. We had like a 2-week window to promote that because I replaced our buddy Daniel Van Kirk. I don't know why he dropped out of the weekend. He had something going on. So thank you everyone who came out. I'll say it on here. No one there will hear it. I'm on the fence about doing Sam Talent's festival. I'll make it very clear soon, guys. If I do it, I'm going to do Memphis, and then I'll be in Bentonville, Arkansas, back-to-back at the very beginning of October. I think it's like literally the 1st and then the 3rd and the 4th or something like that. But I'm off for a little while. Otherwise, we got our show in Nashville coming up. If anything changes, I'll make an announcement. I'm thinking about going to Atlanta in November, but I'm taking her easy.
All right. Well, I'll be in Ohio at the end of this month, last weekend of this month, with longtime contributor to the Skewniverse, Travis Irvine, senior Ohio good buddy. He always comes with me on that run. It's always a good time. So, yeah. See you there, Ohio. And then after that, a bunch of other stuff, too, in the future. Virginia, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Nashville with Corey and Drew at the end of the year, Madison and Milwaukee in the middle of that. And then I got a bunch of dates in 2026 already, too. Sacramento, South Carolina, a bunch of them. Just go to TreCrowder.com and check them out. Come see me. And Drew, I know you got a heart out. You can go ahead and go. I promise I'm not going to say anything about you. I'm going to, ramble on for another 3 or 4 minutes by myself just because 50 feels short and then I feel bad and it's my fault. So you can sign off.
As soon as I get off here, dear FBI.
Yeah, I am disavowing.
I know his address. Yes, I know it.
Yeah.
All right, no, bye, guys.
I promise. All right. See you, buddy. Yeah. He told me that, he had a heart out and I knew that, and I still disrespected his time by arriving late. I like to do that, disrespect people's time and just them in general. That's not true. That's a joke. It's just I've gotten horrible at time management. It's funny because I used to really get onto my sister's ass when we were like kids in high school and stuff because I'd drive us both to school or whatever, and she'd make me late for shit. Used to drive me up the wall. I was like, respect people's time. Be prompt, be punctual. And I don't know when I lost my way with that. I don't know. I'm still not that bad, but I think most of my friends would tell you that, I've got a bit of a tardy streak in me as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't transfer over to like shows and stuff. You come to see me on the road or whatever, unless something happens that prevents me from being there, I'll be there and I'll be on time. I'm not late to that type of shit. It's just, hey, we're going to start recording at 3 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, got it. And it's 3:04. And I'm like, I'm good now. I'm signing on right now. I'm logging on. Like, time just gets away from your boy. What do you want me to say? Anyway, yeah, like Drew was saying, it's weird. The whole thing is obviously very weird. Feels irresponsible in both directions. You don't know what to say. It's one of those things. It's like, well, you could just say nothing. Like, I always feel like, I don't know if narcissistic is the right word, but the idea that it's like, well, obviously I have to say something. So it's like, no, I don't. I'm very small potatoes, but I still do have, a following. Like the people who do follow me definitely, expect me to have some kind of take or whatever. But with this one, it's hard to know what it should be. So I just the video that I've made but not yet posted that I'm about to go post, by the time this podcast is out, if you've looked for that video, you will have seen it already. But it was basically just me. Like I said, tried to make a little bit of fun of the whole, Antifa super soldier assassin witch hunt thing that happened. While then also being like, we don't know this guy's motivation, and ultimately it shouldn't matter what his motivation was. He's one dude with a gun, and that's, one guy with a gun should never have the power to rip apart, an empire or whatever, 250 years in the making. So, I know it's a real sturdy limb I'm going out on there, just like a general call for unity or whatever, but I just didn't know what to say. It's like I said, this is like I told Drew and I told Mark too on Skews, like this is the first time I've ever been like, I'm not going to say like afraid. I'm not like scared, but like freaked out and worried for sure. I mean, of course I've been worried at many points over the years, over the past, since 2016, but like this past week has been the time that I've been the most like, oh shit, like fucking, because it's not just like pissed off people online being like, I'll fucking ruin your life or whatever. It's like, I mean, I don't want to deal with that either, But it ain't just that. Again, it's the president being like, yeah, it's, it's coming. Fuck unity. It's like implying that. It's his AG saying like, we're going to start charging people for hate speech. We know in hate speech, in this case, is what is that? So just saying that like, it's not cool to want trans people to not exist. Is that hate speech? To say that, fucking dehumanizing like trans people, to call that hate speech, that is hate speech actually. And that's what'll get you thrown in jail. I mean, that's the assumption, right? Like just wild shit. And I don't know. So yeah, it's a little shithead they've got in that jail cell out there in Utah. Really threw a match on a fucking tinderbox. A tinderbox filled with fucking napalm and mortar shells. But so thanks for that, buddy. But anyway, we'll fucking, again, just as it always often is the case with these, like I said, I've been signing off without even thinking to or meaning about it, just organically signing off of both a lot of my like the longer YouTube versions of my rant videos, but also seemingly every episode of Skews is some version of like, yeah, fucking sure is crazy, sure is worrisome, sure is upsetting, and hey, it's not over yet, so guess we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching. But I mean, what else you gotta say? God damn. Anyway, thanks for listening to the WellRED podcast. Again, this sort of shambolic version of it over the past few weeks. I think we'll get back to normalcy at some point in the near future. But this thing keeps things fresh. You never know which pairing you're going to get on here lately. But I'm sure soon we can get the whole three-headed monster that is the WellRED fellers back in full effect. And we can document the end times as one. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Maybe next time we'll just try to talk more about, farts and dragons and stuff. We'll just see what happens in the world. Thank you all for listening to, one more time, go to TreCrowder.com. Check out my tour dates. Come see me, please. Thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew. Skew. Whoop. Fart. Bye.
But we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. We collected from our love of Downton Abbey. We collected, we found out we're both so fancy. Hey, what's the difference between rednecks and royal families? Only money, cause they both have sex with family. Ew. Putting on airs. What other rednecks to talk about foreign affairs? Laughing so hard that we end up falling out our chairs. Sir Trae, Sir Corey, oh what a pair. High class topics with a redneck flair. Oh yeah. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Okay, it's Team Squirrel or Team Trae. Oh yeah, we keeping it basic. He thinks that the squirrels at Corey's mom's house are racist. And you know squirrels live in the same place for generations. So Trae, you better count your days and you better count your blessings. Cause all the squirrels that you ran over, that you think are nameless, faceless, their families are getting together and plotting on you from the attic and basement. So even though Corey is dumb, fat, and bald, he knows how to avoid drama, don't get squirrels involved. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea, putting on airs. Two rednecks but we're still fancy, putting on airs. We might not know much about history, we don't care. We gon' get drunk and we talk about yachts. We gon' get drunk and we gon' talk a lot. Dress real fancy, sit in our chairs, sip on our tea,